Hey everybody, welcome to lesson 4.1, Analyzing Evidence. As always, we're going to start with our warm-up. And the warm-up today, we're revisiting actually the anticipation guide a long time ago. We answered this question, or we responded to this statement anyway, that all traits are determined by the experiences an organism has or the environment it lives in. For example, you will have the trait of being a strong swimmer if you swim a lot and live in or near the water. Do you disagree? Or do you agree or disagree with the statement? Now, what evidence supports your ideas about the statement? All traits. Focus on that part. All traits are determined by the experiences an organism has or the environment it lives in, based on what we've learned so far. Okay? Do that and then come on back to me. All right, we got another science seminar coming up, people, and we're going to try to do it a little bit differently this time. I do want to actually try to have this discussion in class. Whereas before I just had you write a response, I want to hear your response. And I want to hear other students respond to your responses. Yes. All sorts of responding going on. So here's what our science seminar is based on. Today, we're going to receive some information, new information about Actinin3. Remember Actinin3? We've looked at some experiments with this and talked about it a little bit. Looking at variation in the trait for running ability among the Smith family members. Who is the Smith family? Don't worry, we're going to meet them in just a moment. Some of the Actinin3 research findings. This is important stuff. Genetic researchers at Bay Medical Company have been studying the effects of Actinin3 protein on running ability. Here are their initial findings about the role of Actinin3 in the human body. First one, the Actinin3 protein connects muscle fibers. Okay, which helps muscles contract more rapidly and more powerfully. Interesting. More rapidly and more powerfully. You know, when I go jogging, which is not as much as I should, and I think of like how fast I'm actually going, I think, okay, I either need to take more steps, like quicken up my pace, or I need to like take longer strides, right? So there's, yeah, anyway, I wish I had more Actinin3. I am not built for speed. Non-functional Actinin3 protein does not help muscles contract. That must be what I have a lot of. The presence of Actinin3 proteins causes the structure of the athlete's muscles to be different from the structure of those without Actinin3. Okay, so, oh yeah, structure. We talked about structure. We talked about structure of proteins, and we talked about how the structure of proteins directly relates to their function. Guess what the next slide's going to tell us? The Actinin3 proteins affect the structure of the muscles, which then affects their function. See, I knew we were going there. Athletes whose muscles can contract more rapidly and powerfully are better sprinters. Makes sense, right? More powerful and more rapidly, you're going to go faster. Again, Mr. Wiggin, not built for speed. The researchers at Bay Medical... look, it's the Smith family. Here they are. The researchers at Bay Medical Company are interested in the Smith family. They wonder why the daughter, Jackie, is an elite distance runner. What does elite mean? It's funny. My daughter just asked me, Dad, what does elite mean? And then I pull up the slide. Elite means you're the best. You're at the top, right? Jackie is an elite distance runner when no one else in her family has that trait. All right, so here's the question. Why is Jackie an elite distance runner when no one else in her family has the trait? Well, we're going to look at a bunch of evidence. We're going to try to come up with a smart-sounding response to this. This question is on the cutting edge of new science research. Since so much is unknown about these genes, proteins, and traits, you may not be certain about your ideas. Or you may find that you change your mind. Like scientists, you'll need to be open-minded but skeptical. Okay? If new evidence shows up that looks good, it's like, wow, this is pointing us somewhere. Don't just immediately say, oh, well, that must mean that's That's what's going on. That's what's happening. No, I mean, we still need to make sure that we've tested it, right? And that we've looked at it from other angles. And we've had other people look at it with us. And we've heard from other people too. Because sometimes we get in a way of thinking, but then once someone else says a different way of thinking, all of a sudden we realize, oh, okay, yeah, that it could be that way. Now I see your point, which is why it's so important for us to have discussions, isn't it? So Let's start by sharing our initial ideas about the Chapter 4 question. Why is Jackie an elite distance runner when no one else in her family has that trait? Well, we'll talk about this in class. I want to hear your initial, because we don't know anything yet, right? All we know is that some members of our family are sprinters. Her dad is not even an athlete, but she's an elite long-distance runner. In order to answer the question about Jackie and her family, you will examine claims and evidence and talk about them in a whole class discussion called a science seminar. Oh, look, blah, blah, blah. Hey, here's our claims right here. Claim number 1. Jackie's trait is due to her training. Is it just due to her training that she's like awesome? Claim number 2, Jackie has a different combination of gene versions. Jackie's trait can be explained by the combination of gene versions she inherited from her parents. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar, doesn't it? Claim 3, Jackie has a mutation in her gene for Actinin3 protein. This mutation instructs for a protein that results in the long-distance trait, running trait instead of the sprinting trait. Well, hey, who knows? These are the claims you'll be investigating. We are going to follow the evidence. There's a poll that you're supposed to take. We might do that. We might take a look at those results in class. There's your claims. So I will ask you this, though, your initial thoughts. Like, which claim do you think, just initially, before we even really look at any evidence, do you think is going, what's happening? All right, let's look at the evidence. I have attached all the evidence cards to the lesson. You are going to look at all of them. You're going to annotate all of them. This is what our whole discussion is going to be based on, this evidence. You're looking at this evidence, and you're going to come up with which claim you think is the best. You're going to defend it using this evidence and what we know about genes and about inheritance. Let's think about evidence card B together. Let's find evidence card B. What are some of your first thoughts about evidence card B? Here it is. Look, evidence card B. We have the family members here with their traits. We have Actinin3 protein test results. Okay, so it tells us the Actinin3 results for each one. Oh, look, not available, not available. That's helpful. My biggest question here is, why is it not available? I mean, if we can get results for Lincoln and Dad, why can't we get results for Mom and Jackie? That's my real question. And possible combinations of gene versions. So we see our gene versions here. A1 instructs for functional Actinin3. Okay. A2 instructs for non-functional protein. AM, is a gene mutation. Check that out. Okay. Hey, look, there's places for you to actually write in your own ideas about the gene combinations of the mom and Jackie. So let's go ahead and let's examine. Where's my slides go? We're going to examine this evidence, all of these evidence cards, and I want you to annotate them. We're going to discuss these in class. I want to hear your thoughts on each of these evidence cards, and I want you to tell me what kinds of things you wrote on them. I do want you to annotate each and every one of them, okay? So please take some time, go read these evidence cards, think about them, annotate them, and come back to me. All right, again, it's homework time. Hopefully you spend some time looking carefully at those evidence cards and annotating them, and you're thinking about where the evidence might be taking you. And it's okay for us to have different ideas about it at this point. It's okay to have different ideas about it at the end. We don't know necessarily what the correct answer is. So for homework, couple things, you're going to be observing mutations in the sim, and you're going to read and annotate an article about growing giant pumpkins. Hey, all the directions are right here. I'm not going to go through them with you. I'm going to trust that by this point, you are familiar enough with the simulation that you don't need me to show you step by step. If you do need me to show you step by step, hey, come into my office hours. I will be happy to do so. Yeah, after that, end of lesson. Hey, we will see you next time. Can't wait to hear some of your thoughts about this whole Actinin3 thing and the Smith family.